singer, a producer, and a director. I present to you Sylvia Hayes. Don't you just love it when Mama take you visiting? Well, my mom used to take us visiting all the time, and we didn't always like it either. Now, my grandmother lived up in the Delta in Mississippi. It was all right to go visit her because her house was built on the side of a hill, and we could go under there and play. She had all kinds of stuff under that house. She had bags of black walnuts and corn, and she even had meat hanging from the roof of the floor. And there were farm equipment, all kinds of farm equipment under there. We could go under there and play, and that was all right. And if my cousin came over to milk the cow, we got a chance to churn the milk. He would pour that milk in there, and we would just splash and splash and splash, having ourselves a good time. And then my grandmother would come in, and she would take the cream off the milk and put it in the bowl. That's how she made the butter. Now, after we left my grandmother, we would go to Cousin Dale's house and Cousin Johnny. We didn't like going there. They were old people. All they ever did was sit on the porch and rock in that rocking chair. Every time we went there, they were sitting on the porch. And if they weren't on the porch when we went there, they would soon be on the porch. Every now and then, Cousin Dale would tell my mom, "Come on, let's go to the garden and get some food so you can feed them children." And she would take my mom to the garden, and they would get some food, and we'd have food to take back home. Now, after we leave Cousin Dale and Cousin Johnny's house, we would go to my Aunt Irma's house. Now, we liked going to Aunt Irma's house. She had 11 children, and she had a barn and a chicken house we could come on top of and jump off of. To think about it, we could have gotten hurt jumping off that chicken house, but we weren't thinking about that. We were just having fun, and we loved going there. And my mom would go visit other people too, some of her old friends. And don't let them start talking about their children, because my mom had something to say. She would tell them about how my brother Scoop would make honor roll all the time. And then she would tell them how I could make scratch cakes better than she could. I don't understand how I could do that because I used the same ingredients and the same recipe that she used, but she said mine was better, so I have to take her word for it. And then she would tell them how her children could sing. And next thing you would hear her say, "Sylvia!" Y'all, I get looking, "Y'all come here for a minute." She would call us in and have us to sing a song. Now, why she did that, I don't know, because whoever she was telling, they didn't dispute her word, but my mom felt that she had to prove to them what she was saying was true. So she would have us sing. And one time, my mom had my little sister to repeat the Easter speech because she thought my sister did it so well. So she had her repeating the Easter speech. And she would take us visiting all the time, and we would complain about it, but she would always have a story why we should go visit, or she would have some kind of answer in response to our complaints. But then also, there was people who would visit my mom, like my Uncle Bougie, for instance. Now, Uncle Bougie had a beard, and every time he would come to visit, he would greet us with a hug and a wet kiss. And when he hugged us, he would make sure his beard would rub against our face, and we didn't like that. So when he come over, we would run. So my Uncle Bougie would have to chase us to give us a hug and a kiss. That's the way he was. He made sure that he gave it to us too. And when I grew up and went off to college, my mom would call me and tell me about who was sick and what was going on in the community. And when I came home, she would say something like, "Iredale been asking about you. You ought to go visit her." Now, you know I didn't have time to go visit Miss Iredale. I had things to do. And she would say something like, "Iredale been good to you. It ain't gonna hurt you to go visit her for a minute." And then I would think about it. Well, she did feed me every time she fed her grandchildren. And I did play at her house all the time. And when I was a little girl, she did pay me 10 cents a pound to pick cotton. And I was glad to get that 50 cents at the end of the day. So I said, okay, I'll go visit her. And when I go visit Miss Iredale, her face just lit up. It's like she was just tickled to death to see little old me. So that made me happy to know that I made her happy. And when I moved off to college, when I came back home, not when I moved off to college, when I moved to Atlanta, and every time I would come home, my mom would have a list of people for me to go visit. And one time when I came home, she said, Thaddeus is sick. You need to go visit him. Now, Cousin Thaddeus, that was my mom's first cousin. I liked him. And I had planned to go visit him, but time ran out. So I said, I'll go visit him when I come back. So the next time I saw Cousin Thaddeus, it was at his funeral. He had died before I got a chance to come back to visit him. And I really felt guilty for a long time because I could have went to visit him and I didn't. And then in May 2005, when I went home to visit my mom for Mother's Day, and my mom would always tell me, go visit your dad, go visit your dad. And I didn't want to do that. But then, as you know, when you get older, your values change. And I started visiting my dad on my own. So in May 2005, when I went to visit my mom, I stopped by and I visited my dad. As a matter of fact, I spent the night with my dad. And we had a good conversation. It was really nice. And 2 months later, my dad had a stroke and died. And I really felt good that I had went and spent some time with my dad when he was alive and well. My mom taught me that the elders are the foundation of our roots and that we should cherish each and every waking moment with them because tomorrow is not promised.